Hi everyone, welcome back. So far we have been looking at the Sensu UI or Sensu CTL event list to see the status of our systems, like if a host is running out of memory or if it's under high CPU load, etc. But it's not very practical for us to keep looking at these dashboards or these commands. What we need is we need to be alerted when something bad happens. We need to be alerted when a host is down or it's under heavy load, etc. So in this video, we are going to set up email alerts with Sensu so that when something goes wrong, we will get an email alert. So obviously, email is not the only option. There are a lot of ways you can be alerted, and the main three ways for that is one, email, and then a Slack message, and another one, more importantly, is a phone call. So in a production environment, you would have different checks with different priorities, and you will assign different kinds of handling for each of them. For example, if one of your web server CPU load is bit above, like let's say 70% or something, it's not necessarily the end of the world, and it can be alerted via email or Slack. It's okay if you take a few minutes to get to it and fix the issue. But if there is a check that checks for the availability of the website itself, let's say it's an HTTP check, that is something critical. Like if an HTTP check is failing, that means the website is down and you need to be alerted immediately. That's when we use PagerDuty, which will call up a number based on the configuration and the severity of the alert. Anyway, in this video, we're going to set up email alerts. You can look into how to set up Slack and PagerDuty later by your own. So let's look at how to configure email alerts with Sensu. So the first thing that we need is we need some email providers, right? We need to be able to send emails from our servers to our email addresses. We don't need to set up our own email servers. We can use an SMTP provider. For our case, I'm just going to use Gmail itself because it's free. But obviously in a production environment, you would want something better, maybe like a paid email service like Mailgun or SendGrid or Amazon's email service, etc. For this use case, I have created a new email account, a new Gmail account, so that I can use this for all kind of testing, alerting, and things like that. It's fairly simple. You just need a Gmail account, and if you have 2FA enabled for your account, you need to follow these instructions to create an app password. And we just keep our Gmail credentials ready. And now we are ready to create the email handler. We explained what a handler is. It's something that will help us handle an event. Example, it sends an email when there is an event like high CPU or high memory usage, etc. Let's get the assets for the email handler. Just copy paste the command. Again from our workstation, alright, we added the email handler. Now we need to create an event filter. So what is an event filter? As you know, we have our check running every 15 seconds, and if we send an alert for every time it executes the check, it would look like this, and this is not what we need. So an event filter will help us get rid of this problem. So we will use this state change only filter, which will alert only when there is a change between these states of 0, 1 and 2. I have written what exactly happens with this state change only event filter. You can read about it. Basically what it means is it's going to prevent this, and we will only get meaningful alerts. Alright, so let's go ahead and create the event filter. So I'm just going to copy this YAML, and I will use cat to create the file. Press enter and then paste it, and then press enter again, then Control D, finish writing to the file. So this is a good way to write something into a file from the command line without having to open up a text editor. So we can see that it's created. So this is a type event filter, and the name is state change only. Let's create it. So we can do sensuctl filter list, and we can see the event filter we just created here. Alright, so now we can create our email handler. So I'm just gonna copy this. I will use cat to create the file. Control D. Okay, I think I missed a letter here, so I'm just gonna open that file again. Okay, so what do we have here? We have the type handler, and this handler type is a pipe. which means that it pipes from the output of our, the check command, and it sends it to this command, Sensu email handler. And what do we have here? We have the -f, sender email address, recipient email address, SMTP server address, username, and then password for the email account. So for each of these, you need to update it with the value that corresponds to your your email address. So sender email would be your new email account, and recipient would be where you want the email alerts to be received. SMTP server would be smtp.gmail.com. Then -u, your username, and -p, either your Gmail password or the app password that you created here if you're using 2FA. So I'm going to update this file with values corresponding to mine. Alright, so I have updated the email handler with all the credentials and the server address, etc. So I'm going to create that. Sensu.ctl create -f email handler.yaml, and you should be able to see the handler we just created using Sensu.ctl handler list. Now we have created the email handler. So now what we need to do is we need to update our checks to include this handler. So let's go ahead and list our checks. Right, so we have check CPU, check memory, check HTTP, Nginx service, etc. So I'm gonna update the Nginx HTTP. The command is the same, we don't need to change that. Interval is 15, nothing to change. It's not a cron. Timeout, we'll just give it at leave it at the default value. Subscription is web server handler. So this is where we're going to make a change. We're going to add the handler as email, and we'll leave the remaining values as it is. All right, so now let's go ahead and stop Nginx in our WordPress server, and let's see the Sensu.ctl event list, and we can see that there is an alert here. HTTP connection is failing, and you can see that I just received an email alert in my email address saying Sensu alert, WordPress Nginx HTTP is failing. And that's how easy it is to create email alerts for our checks. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video. As an exercise, one, you should go ahead and add the same email handler to the other checks so that it alerts us. And second one is you should create a Slack message handler so that you get alerted on a Slack. So that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please give a thumbs up and leave a comment if you have any questions. See you in the next one.